Good evening, students. Welcome to the live virtual classes for CA Final Paper 3 Advanced Auditing Assurance and Professional Ethics. And again, we are having our learned faculty, CA Venugopal Tangeji, right? And today we will be covering the topic which we have covered in the previous session on 8th of the December. Overview of audit of public sector undertaking. So audit of PSU, right? This is covered in section 3. And after completing this chapter, we will be moving towards our next chapter, chapter 16, that is internal auditing, right? So these two chapters will be covered in today's session. And in next class also, we will be covering internal audit and, ESG chapter, right? That is our section 4. So what is my request to all of you, dear students? For section 3, you find it difficult one, right? So rather than thinking that it is difficult, if we learn it stepwise and if we practice more question, it will be easier one for us. Weightage for this section is 17% to 24%, means 20 to 27 marks. And these are having 5 chapters. Okay. So in this section, we will be like after audit of PSU and internal audit, last chapter will be left behind, and after ESG chapter we will be covering that particular chapter, due diligence, investigation and forensic accounting, right? That we will be covering at the end. Okay, so what my request to you is, please cover these chapters, and if you can have a glance, if you can go through the chapter audit ESG chapter, chapter 18, before the session on Monday, it will be good for you for better understanding. One more request from my side to all of you, dear students, that your feedback is very crucial and very important for us. It guides us, it provides us direction that how we should pursue further. So it is very important. So please do not forget to share your feedback that how we can improve the next upcoming classes, okay, virtual classes, so that it is more beneficial for you. And if you find any where we are lacking or some improvements can be made, please do share your feedback. So your feedback is very, very important. Even I request you all to share the feedback on previous sessions as well. Now, not taking much of the time, in the last session, I asked some of the students to recap the topics which we have covered. Now, my request to all of you that please understand what is, understand and learn. If you can make your notes, like your documentation for the session, it will be good for you. And at the end, when we are asking, it will be written in your memory and you will be able to recall and tell us what is being covered. So please be focused, attentive in the session. And if you have any doubt, you can definitely reach out to us to ask your query feature, or you can ask in the class itself, okay, through chat, or maybe you can unmute yourself and you can ask your simultaneously. So not taking much of the time, Venugopal sir, over to you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Good evening, students. Hope you as well as your preparation is going well. So before going to discuss about today's topic, we will take few minutes to revise what we have covered in the previous session. So we have seen the aerial view of chapter 15, which is divided into 5 parts. We understand about PSU definition, what is consists of PSU, and it is not only talking about public sector enterprises or corporates, it also includes departments and who will do audit, what is the extent C&AG has powers, all those things, and how the reporting process goes through. That was also being discussed in detail. So this was the framework of C&AG which we have discussed, and we also discussed details about audit boards. Although it is not a separate legal entity, it runs through C&AG, and any findings which they find will be discussed with the respective management and they'll take responses from them. The objective of financial committees was discussed, root cause analysis, and they want to correct the systems. Just reporting part is done by audit boards, but the corrective action will be concentrated by financial committees. And each committee, what it does, what are the activities of each committee, what is the responsibility of each committee, what are the functions of each committee was also discussed in detail. Role of C&AG and procedure what we have followed for after C&AG gives report, that was also been discussed in detail. So that is all about framework. Then we discussed elements. So I just want to remind you or ask you a question. I told you to do homework. So in each specific audit, talk about compliance audit, financial audit, right? Performance audit. I gave you homework that in financial audit, who is the auditor, who is the responsible party, who is the intended user, what is the subject matter, what is the criteria, what is the subject matter information, and what type of engagement it is, whether it is an attestation engagement or direct reporting engagement. Hope you have done your homework. So I'm going to show you, after covering comprehensive audit as well as proprietary audit, I'm going to show you a detailed Excel template which I gave you as a homework, that will also be shown on the screen, where you can take a screenshot and you can refer with your answer, with your homework, what you have done, which is very, very important, because once you understand the elements, you can easily write the differences between one type of audit with another type of audit. Although we had very detailed discussion happened in the last session, but I'm just telling you, if you have not done homework, take the screenshot at the end of the session or at the end of the topic, and don't look at that and do homework again, so that you can cross-check with the screenshot. Thereafter, we discussed about principles and different types of audits, starting with financial audit, and what are all the directions C&AG can give to a independent CA firm. What directions they give. So this can also be a direct question coming for the exam. Then we discussed definition, concerns. So I just want to highlight one aspect here. You see proprietary here. So when we are going to discuss today's topic, proprietary audit. So proprietary audit can be done standalone, and the portion of the objective of proprietary can be applied as well in compliance audit as well as in performance audit as well. So proprietary is what we are going to discuss today, but it has overlapping in compliance audit, it has overlapping in performance audit. We'll see that in few minutes. So this is what, and we also discussed types of compliance audits, audit process of compliance audit, performance audit definition, objective. We had a very detailed discussion about performance audit cycle and performance audit plan, right? And we also discussed in detail about AAA, which is economy, efficiency, and effectiveness, with a lot of examples. So let us start. So any doubts you have with regard to previous class, you can ask. Otherwise, we'll move to today's topic, which is comprehensive audit. So comprehensive audit, it has two sections, which is definition as well as questions asked or issues observed. In case of comprehensive audit, the audit boards, the IAAD, what kind of questions they will ask, what kind of issues they want to look into, that is what we are going to cover, along with the definition. So if you see the definition, so the areas covered in comprehensive audit naturally vary from enterprise to enterprise depending on the nature of enterprise. So its objectives and operations. So why it varies from enterprise to enterprise? Because the word comprehensive means you are covering aspects of financial audit, aspects of compliance audit, aspects of performance audit. So you are doing an holistic audit. So the definition of comprehensive audit is nothing but combined definition of financial compliance and performance audit. So you want to take up procurement to pay business area, right? So you want to see financial aspect of it, you want to see compliance aspect of it, you also want to see performance aspect of it. So holistic view of purchase to pay process, you want to do audit. So that's how the definition has been there. So comprehensive audit is a combination of multiple audits, right? So C&AG conducts an efficiency cum performance audit other than the field which has already been covered either by the internal audit or by professional auditors. So let us say the areas which has already been covered by internal audit, areas which are already covered by statutory independent CA firm, that will not be taken up by C&AG in case of comprehensive audit. They will choose something which was not covered by internal audit or statutory auditors. And they will find out any weaknesses or unnecessary expenditure which was done by management, that will be taken out. So as I mentioned you, it's a holistic assessment. Okay. So just few areas, if we see, we'll understand the investment decisions, project formulation, organizational effectiveness, capacity utilization of machineries, management of equipment. Are we utilizing 100% of equipment which was purchased, right? So you can see what we have discussed in performance audit, what we have discussed in compliance audit, right? And what we have discussed in financial audit, all get overlapped here, right? So comprehensive audit is combination of audits. Clear? So what kind of questions generally they'll ask in case of comprehensive audit? We'll see. So first thing is any expenditure, anything you want to start, talk about sales, talk about purchases, talk about capital, fixed assets, talk about HR, talk about any item. Every company, every PSU may have some budget, right? May have some plan. So first you need to see whether plan is prepared or not. Let us say they want to go for a program, they want to go for an activity, they want to conduct some expenditure, they want to incur some expenditure. So PSUs, they prepare plan. Similarly, private limited companies, other companies also prepares plan. But in case of PSUs, definitely there will be a documented plan, approved plan, right? So this plan, whether it is approved or not, first you can check. Then you can check the results, the outputs, whether what they have purchased, what they have spent is as per the plan or not. Third, the output, the desired output. Once you purchase, you need to utilize that. So after utilization, whether the results which are got is as per plan or not. So certain questions directly, although there are 8-9 points, I have done segregation to easily remember that. Okay. So let's see. So whether first planning is properly done or not, right? Second, how does the overall capital cost of the project compare with the approved planned cost? So approved planned cost is telling you you need to spend 10 crores, but what you have spent is 12 crores. So you have already increased it, you have already surpassed it. So whether you have taken approvals or not, what is the reason of spending extra, right? So these questions you will ask. Next, third is finally okay, let us say 10 crores, you spent 12 crores, but with the machinery which you got, with the items which you have procured, whether have you reached or have you satisfied your outputs? So have the planned production or operational outputs have been achieved? Has there been any underutilization of installed capacity or shortfall in performance? So these are the questions you'll ask in comprehensive audit. So these three are talking about first, planning is approved or not, planning is efficiently done or not, whether poor planning is done. And once plan is there, you can cross-check the actuals with the plan, actuals with the budget. Both what you have procured and the output was planned, right? So you can easily remember these three. Next, last, in the planning only, planned rate of return has been achieved. So we discussed, example, we say 20% is the margin which we are going to get, or 10,000 products will be produced, or if I recruit 100 employees, they will do this much work, right? But whether they have been achieved or not, planned rate of return has been achieved or not, that also you will ask questions in comprehensive audit. Next, whether do you have policies which are adequate or not. If you don't have adequate policies, whether any inventory is piling up, right? Cost control measures are adequate, whether there is any inefficiencies, wastages in raw material consumption, etc. So all these questions are very much in the nature of performance audit. So you financial audit, let us say you purchased extra, but it has been accounted properly, it has been reported properly, disclosed properly. You don't have any problem in financial audit. Even compliance audit does not talk about this, right? But performance audit, if there is item available, but still you went ahead and procured, so it's an unnecessary expenditure, right? So you ask this question when you have long aging inventory. Okay. Similarly, any wastages in raw material consumption. So we discuss when we are discussing performance audit in case of efficiency. So you need to use minimum input for creating maximum output. Okay. Or you need to create with the stated input, you need to create maximum output, right? So if there is excessive usage of raw material, wastages in raw material, such questions also will be asked. And whether enterprise has any system of repairs and maintenance, mainly preventive maintenance. So if a machine is periodically maintained properly, it may not give a breakdown. If it gives a breakdown, your production, your manufacturing activities will get stopped. If it is stopped, your output is having an issue. So whether periodic maintenance has been carried out for the machines or not, that also you will ask. And to reduce the cost control. So how one can reduce the cost control? So we are talking about cost control measures, right? So how one can reduce the cost control? So you should do adequate research and development programs in adopting new process, technologies, improving profits, in reducing cost. So by utilizing the technology, can we reduce the cost? Can we improve our profits? What can be automated? So all those things, whether PSU is doing that research and development expenditure, or they are following the same old manual process. So all these questions will be asked in case of comprehensive audit, and answers to this question, if it is positive, then you kind of give a clean report. If there are any issues, that will be reported by audit boards. Any doubts, any point you want more clarity, please ask. Hope it is clear. So what is comprehensive audit and the aspects that generally covered, the questions generally asked in case of comprehensive audit. So how do you remember? So first you question the planning itself. First you question the planning itself. Once planning gets approved, then you check whether you bought correctly, whether your outputs are there, whether your rate of return is matching with the planning. So that part is covered. So if it is for 2 marks, 4 marks, you could able to easily recall this question. Thereafter, you have this cost control measures, research and development programs, repairs and maintenance, etc. Even repairs and maintenance, preventive maintenance is a cost control mechanism, right? So if you conduct preventive maintenance for your machines, which help you to reduce the number of breakdowns. If number of breakdowns gets reduced, machine will work for a longer period, more output is generated. Correct? So these are all the questions you'll ask in case of comprehensive audit. So we'll take a simple question. So Sunlight Limited is a public sector undertaking engaged in production of electricity from solar power. it has commissioned a new project near Goa with a new technology for a cost of 5,750 crores. The project had seen delay in commencement and cost overrun. State the matters that a comprehensive audit by C&AG may cover in reporting on the performance and efficiency of this project. So C&AG want to conduct a comprehensive audit for delay in commencement and cost overrun. So if you install that project within time, that project, that plant would have generated huge amount of electricity, which will be utilized by the respective state, correct? And once we give it to households or some private parties also, government will get that revenue, correct? So delay in commencement will leads to non-generation of revenue and also cost overrun because you are delaying it. Okay, so you need to pay more money to labor there. Okay, the labor which you brought, they may be idle because of non-availability of the capex items, the solar panels, etc. Right? So if this is the case, what are the questions? What are the matters that a comprehensive in case of comprehensive audit, you will ask. So just now we have covered that. So you can that would be the answer. Clear? This applies to almost everything. So you can convert this into a program expenditure. Let us say government is conducting a program for children, a program for women, a program for differently abled people, a program for backward area. So generally they spend some money. So you need to accordingly change these questions. You need to do some smart work. Clear? Next, we'll move to proprietary audit. So what is proprietary audit? What are the principles of proprietary audit? Functions as well as issues. So the definition of proprietary audit. So it stands for verification of transactions on the tests of public interest. So as I told you, proprietary audit, you can do it standalone basis. At the same time, the word proprietary, one second. Yeah. So the word proprietary or the objective of proprietary is applied in case of compliance audit, also in case of performance audit. What is the objective of proprietary? Let us understand. Sorry. So every officer who has exercised while spending the money, public money, whether he applied, okay, some vigilance in respect of the expenditure incurred from public money, as a person of ordinary prudence would exercise in respect of expenditure of his own money. Let us say if it is your own money, whether you will make an unnecessary expenditure, the answer is no. So only because it is not your money, you probably spending more, you probably wasting that money, you probably careless. So proprietary says You may have authority to spend more money. You may have, let us say, you may have authority to travel in helicopter, but you cannot use that helicopter for your own publicity, right? You have authority to utilize a car as a respect, as a perquisite. Company has given you car, but you cannot use it for personal purposes, right? You cannot send your family members to some trips or something, right? So you cannot use that for your personal benefit. So if it is your money, how you would use? Similar way, you need to use public money also. So that is the main objective of proprietary. So understand the difference between performance audit as well as in proprietary audit. Here we are checking in performance audit, we are checking the economy, efficiency and effectiveness. Here we are checking in proprietary audit, we are checking wasteful of expenditure, okay, and also there is some personal gain towards towards that person who is taking decision, right? So proprietary audit stands for verification of transactions on the test of public interest. So every officer who has exercising the before taking a decision, he should show some vigilance, right? And he should think that whether every rupee what we are spending is benefiting to the beneficiaries or is it benefiting to individual. So accordingly, you need to spend money. So let me give an example, which is a different kind of. So let us say a school need to be constructed, right? Or a small hospital need to be constructed. So the person who is taking a decision to construct a hospital, he thought, let us do it for 40 beds, right? So he constructed 40 beds capacity hospital. Now, after 6 months, once it is constructed, after 6 months, you came for doing proprietary audit. And you observed from the date of inauguration, today, let us say till today, 6 months has been elapsed. But the capacity, occupancy capacity is only 20 beds. And 20 beds were lying there idle. So do you think the 20 beds which were constructed extra, is it a wasteful expenditure? Anyone, any guesses? So 40 beds got constructed. Last 6 months or last 1 year, they have been using only 20 beds. 20 beds were there lying there. Okay. You talk about laptops, you talk about office space, right? So what happens is you cannot see hindsight. You cannot see hindsight. Yeah, Sanjay. Sanjay, you are telling it's a wasteful expenditure. Yeah. So we'll discuss this. It's a very debatable question, right? So you cannot apply hindsight. What is hindsight? At the time of taking an approval, at the time of taking an approval, probably they thought some calculations. But once it is implemented, now you come back and see, now you will feel it is a wasteful expenditure. But at the time of approval, probably it would be a right expenditure. So it is very, very subjective. It is very, very critical. The criteria here, audit criteria is very, very subjective. It does not have simple yardstick. Okay. So it is very hard to prove, okay, what the authority has done is correct or wrong in case of proprietary audit. In case of financial audit, you have a proper criteria, which is financial reporting framework. So you say some intangible asset, if it fits the definition, you say it has to be classified as intangible asset. You cannot classify it as an expense. Compliance audit, you have audit criteria as rules, regulations, law. You say if an employee works more than 5 years, he has to get gratuity. There is no other interpretation. In case of performance audit, you can say a building which was constructed but not utilized for 6 months is kind of wasteful expenditure, right? Not at all utilized. But here, 40 beds to 20 beds, you need to see further details, right? And probably it would be a debatable issue with management. The issue which the audit board raises needs discussion, and you can't apply hindsight. I'll give you one more example. What is hindsight? Hindsight is, so you thought there would be more number of diseases which are prevalent in that village, right? And in case of emergency, right? In case of emergency, we may need more beds. So you need to see what made them to construct 40 bed capacity hospital in first place. Does it have proper justification? If it does not have any proper justification, then we can say it's a wasteful expenditure. But if they prove you some justification, 2 years back there was 2 years back there was a disease. 2 years back there was a lot of people who got some kind of disease, right? Because of lack of hospital, few people died, right? So in an analysis, the justification if they provide, then it is not a wasteful expenditure, correct? But once you ask for documentation, once you ask for questions, there is no question. There is no documentation supplied. There is no reason provided to you. Okay? Then you can say it's a wasteful expenditure. And you got to know somehow the person who is selling concrete, the person who is selling beds is related to the person who is making procurement in that PSU. How can we know that? We got to know by surnames, right? You saw the purchase document, you saw name of the person, and you saw surname, and you saw the one who is approving, his surname is also same, right? So you got to know, while audit you found out this, and you understand, yes, there is some kind of vested interest. Sorry. So what we will do, let us read the principles. Can anyone help me out in reading principles?
Yes.
Yeah, take your time and read all the
Yes.
principles.
Principles. The authority exercises its power of sanctioning expenditure to pass an order which will not directly or indirectly accrue to its own advantage. Apart from the agreed remuneration or reward, no other avenue is kept open to indirectly benefit the management personnel, employees, and others. The funds are not utilized for the benefit of a particular person or group of persons, and the expenditure is not prima facie more than the occasion demands, and that every official exercises the same degree of vigilance in respect of expenditure as a person of ordinary prudence would exercise in respect of his own money.
So we have already gone through this, right? So what principles are telling? Principles are telling whether you need to check whether there is any benefit which is directly or indirectly accruing to its own advantage. So you are signing a contract, you are getting a car, you are getting a flat, your kid is getting some kind of appointment or job. Okay. So indirectly or directly, whether any benefit is coming to the employee who is signing it. Right? Very subjective, very difficult to find as well. Right? But what you can apply is you can see for this occasion how much you need to spend. For this program, how much you need to spend. But how much you have spent, if there is a difference, material difference, significant difference, then it's a point or an issue in proprietary audit. So these are the principles in case of proprietary audit. Let us see functions. Take some time and read the functions. Sorry. So all the expenditure incurred is properly planned or not. Anything which was spent unplanned, it raises proprietary audit, because while approving the expense, while approving the plan, everyone reviewed the documents, right? So if you are spending more than approved, that means you are already doing wasteful expenditure, correct? And decisions which was taken by management is as per public interest or not. Size and channel of expenditure. Are you making an expenditure in cash or in bank or in RTGS? So if you use cash, so whom you are giving the cash? Which channel, which mode of payment you are doing? How much you are doing, right? And whatever you have done, whether it is giving optimum or maximum results, you will check. Correct? Okay. Whether any alternative plan is available or not. Alternative plan of action. So I'll tell you, in case of Corona, government has done one great thing. So China is building infrastructure, big hospitals, right? In the time of Corona. But what India has done? India has used the rails, all the rails, they converted into beds and they used that, you make it as in hospitals, right? So it's a substitute plan. You cannot construct 100 capacity beds, 1000 capacity beds, tens of thousand capacity beds in a week's time or in a month's time, right? But you have an alternative plan. So this is how you need to take action. The PSUs have taken action and they used railways as the beds to serve or to treat patients. Yeah. How questions can be asked? They can ask define proprietary audit. They can also ask functions of proprietary audit, principles of proprietary audit. So you should know which question, which answer has to be written. Okay. Next, issues. So proprietary audit poses challenges due to its moral and subjective nature. So the example of 40 beds, 20 beds. So it creates a moral issue. You are telling a person you are asking a person who has exercised the decision, who has exercised all his judgment for taking the decision, you are questioning that judgment itself. So he has authority to approve, right? Now you are telling you have done wasteful expenditure. So you are questioning his integrity, right? You are telling, indirectly you are telling you were careless, okay? You have an intention to do fraud. Okay, the issues in proprietary audit needs detailed examination before we raise audit issue. It is not as simple as financial audit, compliance audit, or performance audit. where you have certain benchmarks. In case of performance audit, we saw benchmarks. We saw other companies. Okay. We'll check other activities, other programs. Correct? But in case of proprietary audit, it is very sensitive. Okay. You are questioning directly to the person who is taking decisions, and you are commenting that they have not exercised due care before approving it. So it's very moral and subject to nature, unlike traditional audit, unlike financial audit, compliance audit, performance audit, okay, which are based on legal and financial proportions. So this is very big issue and very big challenge that we will face when we are doing proprietary audit. So formulating criteria is very difficult, very, very difficult in case of proprietary audit, because it goes with societal values, public interest, customs, and ethical standards. That's what I told you. So proprietary audit must evaluate decisions based on circumstances existing at the time of action, not hindsight. So after 1 year, you see now there is no need of having 40 beds, but you need to check when the action was taken, when it got approved, what is the scenario. Today you can comfortably say that the money spent was unnecessary. Correct? So you cannot apply hindsight. You should apply at the time of action, at the time of spending the money, at the time of approving the expenditure. What made them to take that decision has to be evaluated, not today. Is it clear? So these are the issues you will face while doing proprietary audit. Then how to overcome it? Let us read this. How to overcome these issues? If you have any doubt how to overcome, let us discuss. How to overcome this? So although there are differences, there are common principles such as efficiency, productivity, avoiding waste, accountability remain relevant across sectors. So C&AG gives certain norms. That norms also is similar to efficiencies, delays, productivity, you will check, right? So this is how you can overcome these issues. So this is the question which was given in November 24. You can read and you tell me what should be the answer. So Government of India launched a rural development scheme in order to improve infrastructure, healthcare, and education, right? So the C&AG wants to ensure that the funds of state government have been utilized for the identified purposes and public interest has not been harmed, right? So what they are telling is you are appointed by C&AG to conduct proprietary audit. And check the funds utilized by state government for building hospitals, so and so, and submit a report on the wastefulness in public administration. So you need to write what functions as an auditor will be performed by you. So the question is very clear. So you need to write functions of proprietary audit. Clear? Next. Can someone read the question?
Yes. Comptroller and Auditor General appointed Verma and Associates, a chartered accountant firm, to conduct performance audit of MAP Limited, a public sector undertaking of Government of India. The firm conducted the audit with a view to check all the expenses of the unit are in conformity with the public interest and publicly accepted customs. The audit report submitted by the audit firm was rejected by C&AG. Give your opinion on the action of C&AG.
Yeah. think for a while, think for 1 minute and try to answer this question. C&AG, the action taken by C&AG, is it correct? Is it wrong?
Yes, this is the proprietary audit done by C&AG.
Done by C&AG? Read the question again. C&AG appointed Verma and Associates, right, to perform performance audit. Okay. But what Verma and Associate did? Verma and Associate, the firm, has done proprietary audit. What was supposed to do and what was done? What was supposed to do is performance audit. What was done is proprietary audit. Now C&AG has rejecting the report is fine, is correct. The action which was taken by C&AG is correct. Is in order. Correct? So you need to write what is performance audit, you need to write what is proprietary audit, and now you need to tell the action taken by C&AG is in order because what was supposed to do is performance audit, what was done is proprietary audit. Next. So with this we are done with types of audit in PSU. So if you recall our aerial view, we have done with 4 aspects, which is framework, right? Then we discussed elements, then we discussed principles, then we discussed types. Last leg or last section is audit report. So C&AG, while issuing audit report, what they will disclose in their audit report? In case of state government, how they will disclose? In case of central government, how they will disclose? What are the contents of the audit report is what we are going to discuss. So first, it will give the working results of government companies, deemed government companies, and corporations. So how these companies are performing, how these departments are performing, they will mention that these companies are performing good, bad, not at par, right? That will be provided first, general review. Then they will also give comprehensive appraisals of selected undertakings. So if C&AG wants to brought any specific entity to the notice of parliament, to the notice of state assembly, they'll get that and they will disclose that separately. Any kind of individual instances of financial irregularities, wasteful expenditure, like what we have discussed in proprietary audit, will be discussed in state assemblies, but that may not be part of parliament, right? And here, resume of the company auditor's report submitted by by them. So, company auditor's report. So the independent chartered accountant firms who have done the audit, their reports along with the comments will also be submitted to Parliament. So there are 2 questions here. One is contents of audit report by C&AG to Parliament, contents of audit report by C&AG to state assemblies. So these are 2 questions covered here. So this is the last leg. So we are done with PSU audit, all 5 sections. So we will quickly look into one case-based scenario question from ICAI directly. Yeah. So let us read this question and answer 5 multiple choice questions. Sorry, I have not shared the screen. One second. Are you able to see PDF?
Yes.
Yeah. Please read the question.
Kocher and Associates are refreshing up their knowledge on functions of various parliamentary financial committees and on the varied functions and duties of Comptroller and Auditor General of India in relation to audits of government institutions and government companies. They recognize that a thorough understanding of the C&AG's responsibilities is essential for conducting audits effectively in this sector. To enhance their knowledge, they have reviewed various resources, both online and offline, including the official C&AG website. Below is a summary of key insights drawn from their research. In one of its reports, the C&AG, in respect of a state government-owned Industrial Development Corporation, pointed out non-adherence to one-time settlement (OTS) guidelines of state government by the corporation, resulting in acceptance of a below-par OTS proposal, thus foregoing recovery of loan amount of rupees 8.52 crores. The said corporation was providing loans to industrial units.
Yeah, just a second. So, what kind of audit it is? We'll stop at section A. Section A, what kind of audit it is? So they are talking about one of its reports, right? One of its reports, right? So it's an audit report. But which audit report? Which audit report they are talking about? Non-adherence to OTS guidelines of state government by the corporation. What it mean? What it mean? It mean you are doing non-adherence to
Compliance audit?
Yeah, you are right. It's a compliance audit. Yeah, let us proceed. Next.
Yeah, another
Similarly, whenever you see a question, you also need to think what kind of audit it is, right? Yeah, next,
Right.
please continue.
Yeah, another C&AG report for a particular year contained results of the compliance audit of Department of Revenue, direct taxes of the Union government, dealing with the assessments relating to agricultural income. It included certain observations relating to allowing claim for exemption of agricultural income without supporting documents, use of this area by non-agriculturists as a conduit to avoid taxes, etc., in scrutiny assessments performed by the department.
So here, luckily, they directly gave the nature
Compliance.
of audit. Okay, nature of audit, they have already given. Okay. So what we need to do is here, yeah, fine. Next.
In another case, the state government-owned PSU was involved in construction of a thermal power plant in the state. C&AG in its audit report pointed out delay in completion of work due to failure to decide on the type of water treatment in the cooling plant on a timely basis. Besides other reasons leading to delay, like frequent changes in layout and retesting of soil by the company, were pointed out.
So what kind of audit did this? What did audit report says? In its audit report, pointed out delay in completion of work, right? Due to failure to decide on what type of treatment in cooling plant on a timely basis. Okay, so it's kind of delay in completion of work. Delay means there is underperformance, so it's a performance audit. Yeah, next. Finally, Kochar and Associates reviewed annual report of a listed public sector company, which is a Mini Ratna PSU engaged in providing diversified service to Indian Railways. Based on the above fact, answer the following questions. Consider the description stated in para A of the case. The above audit finding is likely to fall in which areas? We already discussed this. So, because it is OTS guidelines given by state government, it's a
compliance
audit. Next. Based on para B, of which Parliamentary Financial Committee is likely to examine above report of C&AG and make its recommendation. Which Parliamentary Financial Committee is likely to examine the above report of C&AG? So we need to read para B again. The question is, which Parliamentary Financial Committee is likely to examine above report of C&AG? So what are all the Parliamentary Financial Committees we know? We know there is Estimates Committee. We know there is
Public Accounts Committee and Committee on Public Undertakings.
So this is already not an option, right? So out of 3, which is the right answer, we'll go and read para B again. So when it would be right, before going to the question, when it would be Estimates Committee, when it would be Public Accounts Committee, when it would be Committee on Public Undertaking. If it is relating to estimates, then it is Estimates Committee. If it is relating to companies is,
yes.
Then it is
Committee on Public Undertaking.
If there is relating to departments.
Government departments, yes.
Yeah, then it's so we will go and see what it is. So what is this? They gave a report on Department of Revenue Direct Taxes. So Department of Revenue Taxes is a department, right? So what would be the right answer?
PAC, Public Accounts Committee.
Yeah, it's also a C. Next. Considering the nature of audit finding in case of concerning delay in completion of thermal power plant, the said audit finding is likely to fall in domain of performance, proprietary, financial, compliance.
Yeah, performance audit.
Yeah, it is performance audit. Next. Which of the following statements is most appropriate with regard to the listed PSU stated in para D? So let us read what is para D. Finally, Kochar and Associates reviewed annual report of listed public sector company, which is a Mini Ratna PSU, engaged in providing diversified services to Indian Railways. So we'll see now. The statutory audit of above PSU is to be conducted by a firm of auditors appointed by C&AG. Further, C&AG can give directions to firm of auditors. So, is this statement correct? Who will appoint auditors in case of PSU? It is C&AG, right? And C&AG can give directions to firms of auditors. So this is fine. Next. The statutory audit of above PSU is conducted by a firm of auditors appointed by shareholders. So it is not been appointed by shareholders. So this is wrong. C&AG cannot give directions. So this is also wrong. Okay. Next. The statutory audit of above PSU is to be conducted by a firm of auditors appointed by shareholders. Again, wrong. C&AG can give directions, right? The statutory of PSU is conducted by C&AG. So generally, in case of companies, C&AG appoints statutory auditors. It will not be directly conducted by C&AG, right? So this is also wrong. So the right answer is A. Next, PSU engagements are generally attestation engagements or direct reporting engagements. Which of the following statement is correct in this regard? So performance audit is a direct reporting engagement, whereas compliance audit is an attestation engagement. Performance audit is an attestation, compliance is direct reporting. Performance and compliance are generally direct reporting engagements. Performance and compliance are generally attestation engagements. Which is the right
C.
answer?
C. Performance audits and compliance audits are generally direct reporting engagements.
Yeah, correct. So now, first answer is compliance audit. Second answer is public accounts committee because it's a department. First is OTS guidelines. Third, it's a performance audit, right? Why it's a performance audit?
There was delay in work of completion of power
Correct.
plant.
Fourth is a we saw. Why it is right? 5 we saw C. It's because both are generally direct reporting engagements. Fine?
Yes.
Yeah. So we are done with PSU. Let us move to, we'll take 10 minutes quick break, right? And we'll start internal audit, the next chapter. Yes. So my screen is visible.
Yes, visible.
It changed to presentation, internal audit, right?
Yes.
Yeah. We'll take short 5 minutes break. Okay. And sorry, you need to remind me that homework. You can see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the homework I have given to you guys. So what I told you is, in case of, I think it is not visible. So in case of each audit, financial audit, compliance audit, performance audit, comprehensive audit, proprietary audit, who is the auditor? Who is the responsible party? Who is the responsible party? Okay. Who is the intended user? What is the subject matter? What is the criteria? What is the subject matter information? What is the type of engagement? So in one document, in one Excel, if you can make a note of it, and it will be very easy for you to revise and very easy for you to distinguish one audit from another audit. Okay. So I think I can minimize it. You can take a screenshot and you can maximize this later on. I think it will be very clear, I guess. We can do that way. So yeah, this is what it is. You can take a screenshot, okay? And you can watch it again if you want. But this is the homework which I have given. Next is internal audit. We will connect in 5 minutes. Technical team, can we start the break? 5 minutes? Yeah. Yes, students. So someone in the chat box, they requested for screenshot, they requested for homework. So I kept it again here. So you can take a screenshot and it won't split. So you can maximize it later on. I'll also do a little bit so that you can pause the video later on and check this also. Fine. Yeah. So we'll move to internal audit. So as usual, we will first see the aerial view of internal audit, this chapter. So the entire chapter was divided into 4 parts. One is internal audit. So we'll see definition of internal audit, scope of internal audit, and we'll see various questions which are from internal audit perspective. Then the one who is doing internal audit, we call him as internal auditor, right? So he got some qualities, he need to follow some principles. He has certain responsibilities. So internal audit as a function we are discussing and the questions regarding internal audit. And the person who is conducting, he got some responsibilities, qualities, okay, principles he should follow. That was categorized as questions under internal auditor. Then we have the deliverable, the final outcome. So internal audit report, what it comprises of, the contents of internal audit report, we'll discuss that as a separate question. Thereafter, we have audit trail and standards on internal audit. Standard on internal audit. Okay. We have multiple standard on internal audits. Okay. So all those standards also will quickly go through. So questions relating to internal audit, internal auditor, audit report, and audit trail and standards on internal audit. Okay. So we'll take up one at a time. So first we'll see internal audit. So in internal audit, in case of internal audit, we'll discuss definition, scope, and although we will discuss detailed scope, again, there is objective and scope as per SA 610 using the work of internal auditor, right? Then we have, while performing internal audit, what are the steps you follow? And if you want to prepare a internal audit plan, what are the procedure you follow for preparing a plan? And for performing, executing internal audit, what are the steps you follow? So there are 2 questions, planning as well as performing. Finally, applicability. Companies Act mandated certain companies to have internal audit. Okay, what are those companies? What are the thresholds? We'll discuss in detail. So let us first discuss definition. So it's an independent assurance on the effectiveness of internal controls and risk management process to enhance governance and achieve organizational objectives. Just a second. Yeah, extremely sorry. So what it means, it says it is an independent assurance, okay, to check the effectiveness of internal controls and risk management process in order to enhance the governance and achieve organizational objectives. So what could be organizational objectives? You talk about any company, any organization, what are their objectives? What are their goals? They want to maximize their wealth, right? They want to maximize their wealth. Any business organization, their objective is their objective is to maximize their wealth, not profit, but wealth. You know the difference between profit maximization and wealth maximization. So to increase the wealth, okay, to achieve that objective, you need to run different business processes, okay, through proper controls. So what are the different business processes we have? We have primary business process, we have supportive business process. Primary business process are sales, purchases, manufacturing. Support business processes are which are supporting to primary business process, which are HR and payroll, finance, legal, IT, right? So these business process, if they run properly, they will able to achieve the organizational objectives. To run those business process properly, you should have internal controls. Correct? Let us talk about sales. You talk about sales. Now, company has a target of 10 crores. They want to achieve 10 crores. Their objective is to achieve 10 crores. At the same time, they want to collect all the money. Correct? They want to collect all the money. It should not go for bad debts. So you need to achieve 10 crores, but there should not be any bad debt. So what you should do while selecting a customer, right? If it is a cash sale, good. If it is a credit sale, so you need to check the credibility of the party. So there should be credit control. Has to be established. Let us say company, organization does not have credit control. You are making credit sale to whoever party is coming, you are making credit sale. So at the end, you may do a 10 crore business, but you may not receive the cash flow. You may not receive the cash from those parties because you are making sale to a party, okay, sale of 1 crore to a party in a year, but that party could not able to repay you a single rupee. So here we should check the credibility of the party. So there is a credit control or a financial control. So internal controls, there are multiple controls. There are operational controls, financial controls, regulatory controls, right? So all these controls has to be effectively working. Otherwise, what happens? If it doesn't work effectively, then you may not achieve your objectives. So any business organization to maximize their wealth, they want to run sales process properly, purchase process properly, manufacturing process properly. Okay. So if you have sales process, correct? So you are not applying GST on it. So if you are not applying GST on it, means there is regulatory non-compliance. So you should place regulatory controls, correct? You are making a purchase or you are procuring a service, and while making payment, you need to deduct TDS, but they have not deducted TDS. It's a regulatory non-compliance, statutory non-compliance. So in order to reduce those risks, you need to have controls. Once you have controls in all the business process and they are working effectively, then every business process will give you desired results. Once every business process gives you desired results, then you can achieve organizational objectives. So management tries to do it, but upon management, there should be an independent check who can do this. So that person or that activity, we call it as internal audit. Correct? So while doing sales process, you may sell to a party whose credibility is not good. So that is a risk. That is a risk you are going to face. You may procure a product without taking quotations. So you may procure a product without taking quotations. You may procure at a higher price. Right? If you procure at a higher price, that is also risk. Correct? You may procure excess material. So what is the control you should make? While making a procurement, you should check inventory on hand. If you have not checked inventory on hand, you may make an unnecessary purchase. So that control has to be strong. Correct? So every business process organization has been broken down into multiple business process. Every business process has inherent risks. For every risk, you need to have a control. And that control, whether exists, does not exist. If exists, whether it is working effectively or not. Management definitely plays controls, but you need an independent assurance. You need an independent assurance. So management conducts internal audit. Why management conducts internal audit? They want an independent assurance. On what items they want independent assurance? They want independent assurance on effectiveness of internal control and risk management process to enhance governance and achieve organizational objectives. So what is governance? Governance means whether whatever they are doing, whatever every business process they are doing, sales guy is doing sales, purchase guy is doing purchases, HR is doing recruitment, correct? IT team is doing placing controls, installing softwares, whatever they are doing, whether they are doing it in a fair manner, okay, whether they are accountable or not, whether they are whatever need to be disclosed, whether it has been disclosed or not, transparency or not. So all the business processes, whether they are performing activities in total fairness, accountability, and transparency. If they achieve this, then we say there is governance and you can enhance governance. Something to be disclosed, not disclosed. Okay. So you point out in your internal audit, so the governance got enhanced. Someone has to be accounted for, but he is not taking accountability. So you make them accountable. So your governance got enhanced. So we understood the definition of internal audit. You try to give one example. Take one business process. So what is homework today? Which I'll also show you the template. So today's homework is you take one business process and you write down 4 or 5 risks in that area. Let us say HR and payroll. If an organization recruits incompetent person, will it make loss to the company? Company is paying salary to the person, but that person is not doing the job properly because you recruited incompetent person. So this is the risk. So what control has to be placed? Right? What control has to be placed? And whether the control is working effectively or not, you can cross-check. Similarly, business has thousands of risks. As I told you, operational risks, we have operational controls. You have financial risks, you have financial control. You have regulatory risks, you have regulatory controls. So doing business is not easy, right? So multiple organizations, while performing their business, while achieving their objectives, there are hurdles, nothing but risks. So these risks has to be mitigated, reduced to the extent possible. You may not make it zero. Okay. There are inherent limitations to internal audit. Which we'll see. So what you need to do is these risks has to be controlled these risks has to be mitigated by placing controls. So once you place the control, it is also important to check whether control is effectively working or not by management, also by an independent party. Such party you call it as internal auditor, and such activity you call it as internal audit. So you try to imagine as many as businesses, as many activities possible. You talk about bank. Why you got OTP? OTP is a control, right? OTP is a control. BRS, preparation of BRS is a control. Physical verification of inventory is a control. If management is not conducting physical verification of inventory, which is a control activity, that means you have to conduct physical verification of inventory, but you are not conducting. So it is not effective. If you conduct, what happens? You will find out whether book stock is matching with physical stock, whether there is any excess stock, whether there is shortage stock, whether there is any expired stock, right? So there are hundreds of risks which business has to go through, and for every risk there has to be control placed in order to mitigate that risk. Why we are doing all this? To achieve the organization objectives. You want to try one example? Anything comes to your mind? You want to give a guess? Take one business process, take one activity, tell me the risk and tell me the control. So once you understand the definition clearly, then the rest of the part is very easy to understand. Definition of internal audit has everything in it. It has scope in it. It has plan. It has steps to performing internal audit. All the things is already inbuilt in the definition itself. What we will do is we will just elaborate the definition when we go to objective and scope. Okay. So anyone has any doubt with regard to definition, you can ask questions. Right? So now you read internal audit provides independent assurance on the effectiveness of internal controls and risk management process to enhance governance and achieve organizational objectives. So the outcome of internal audit is to enhance governance and achieve organizational objectives. How do you do it? By checking effectiveness of internal control and risk management process. So the process is verifying effectiveness of internal controls and risk management process. The output is enhance governance and achieve organizational objectives. So read the definition 3-4 times, understand it with examples, understand it with multiple business process. Then the rest of the chapter will go like cakewalk. Now we'll see. Now internal audit. Whether internal audit is a part of management function? Yes, the answer is yes. So management functioning is a set of 5 general functions. What are those 5 general functions? Planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling. You talk about any business, you take software business, you take manufacturing business, you take any business, it starts with planning, organizing, recruiting people, giving them directions what to do, and finally, whether they are doing it correctly or not, you will check. Okay. The first 4 functions are leading to create or grow stakeholders wealth. Mainly your investors, mainly your stakeholders wealth, right? So the one who invested in the company, the one who invested in the organization, partnership firm, okay, anything, sole proprietorship, company, PSU. Take example of any nature of business, okay, profit-oriented businesses. So you see, these are the 4 functions which creates wealth and grows wealth. So what does the fifth element does? Fifth element does that it preserves wealth. You created, you grow, but you also need to preserve. So controlling is the function where internal audit comes into picture. Although internal auditor is independent, it still forms part of management function. The internal auditor has to be independent. Otherwise, he may not, the conclusion which he draws, again, it is biased. So he has to be independent. At the same time, he is part of management functioning, because controlling is also part of management functioning. So we are good with definition. Homework is clear. What you should do. Okay. Next.
Yes.
Yeah. Any example you want to try? Any business process any business process you take. You talk about smallest business to biggest business. Okay. Any business you take, you can fit into this definition. Fine. So next we'll discuss scope. So the scope of internal audit covers multiple things. So what are those multiple things? We'll see one by one. So we already know accomplishments of goals or objectives is why we are doing internal audit, right? So should we, let us say someone want to earn 10 crores. So can he sell drugs? Can he sell something? No. He want to earn that money legally. So the important aspect is you cannot do some illegal business, okay, to achieve your objective, to achieve your goal. So any business organization, they cannot do illegal business. Their goal can be, in 2 years, I need to reach 10 crore turnover. In 5 years, I need to reach 200 crore business. But can you do a business which is illegal? You cannot do it. So the first and foremost point is, every organization has goals and objectives. To accomplish it, it should has compliance with policies, plans, procedures, which are internal compliance. I call it as internal compliance, and regulations, which I call it as external compliance. Who prepare policies? Within the organization, they prepare policies, they prepare plans, they prepare procedures. Sales plan, recruitment plan, sales policy, and standard operating procedures for purchases, etc. So that is internal compliance. Regulations is an external compliance. GST, income tax, gratuity, right? Factories Act. There are multiple laws which are, if it is a bank, you need to follow RBI Act, you need to follow Banking Regulation Act. If it is an NBFC, you have to follow that. Okay. So the PSUs, they follow their respective laws, right? So the internal auditor will see what are your goals, what are your objectives, and whether you are doing legally or not, whether you are complying with the provisions. So it can, like money laundering, okay, Prevention of Money Laundering Act is there. So there are hundreds of acts which may be applicable to the company, may not be applicable to the company, right? Whichever is applicable to the company, whether our organization, we should check, the internal auditor has to check whether they are compliance with regulations also. So internal policies, internal plans, procedures also can be complied, should be complied, and regulations also should be complied, right? So if there is any non-compliance, that leads to risk. Correct? Next. Organization structure. So who is doing what? Who is the sales head? What is his responsibility? whether the sales activity and purchase activity is done by same person. So there is no segregation of duties at all. So is it a correct structure? So you're talking about business process. Before talking about business process, who is heading that business process? Whether ethically whether he has integrity, whether he has any criminal background, number one. Number two, whether he has given total dominance, whether he has been parted with segregation of duties. I'll tell you, purchase department and quality department is headed by same person. If it is headed by same person, if a material is procured with a low grade quality, the quality department, the employees in quality department, they raise an issue. It will go to the same person. What he will say? He has the person who gave purchase order to that vendor. So he will say, let us not report it. Because the purchase department employees and the quality department employees both are reporting to same guy. So is it a right structure? It's a wrong structure. So at organization structure level also, internal auditor has to review. Let us say a company has 40 branches. Every branch there is one accountant guy. Now these accountant guys are reporting to one head office. There is one CA to whom they are reporting. So 40 people reporting to one guy is too much span of work. So he may not resolve the issues on time, or he may not see few queries or few requests come from certain departments. Certain department wants money urgently, so you need to release the funds, but you have so many things to do. So organization structure also has to be reviewed. Next. Assets. What assets we are talking about? We have non-current assets, we have current assets, we have liquid assets, right? So let us talk about cash. Company is maintaining huge cash, whether they have taken insurance, safeguarding of asset. Company has huge plant and machinery. Who holds that machinery? Who is having keys of that entire store? Inventory as an asset, right? Inventory, cash, trade receivables, machinery. So who has the custodianship and who is safeguarding those assets? Whether controls have been devised for proper custodianship, proper safeguarding of asset, whether they have done it or not. Okay. So here also you can have segregation of duties. Here also you can discuss the one who preparing cash expenses, the one who holding cash, the one who receiving cash, the one who approving cash payments is one and the same. So the custodian is one, the activity done by the same person. So SOD issue applies here also. The segregation of duties applies here also. Next you have relevance and reliability of information. What is it? We discussed about governance. I told you governance is equal to FAT. Fairness, accountability, transparency. So GST, every month you need to submit certain returns. Income tax, you need to submit certain returns. Factories Act, you need to submit certain returns. ROC, you need to submit certain returns. So the elements of the report, the details of the report which you are submitting to ROC, income tax, GST, Factories Act has to be accurate, has to be reliable. If it is not reliable, if it is unreliable, will company faces big risks, big show cause notices, big litigation issues? So whatever information you are disclosing, transparency, whatever you should be disclosing, it has to be reliable information you should disclose. Again, you can classify into two types, internal reporting and external reporting. What I told you is all about external reporting. Can there be internal reporting? An employee, sales guy, has to report to sales head about how much sale he made, how much targets he has achieved, which product is able to selling, which product is not able to sell. So based on this information, management will take decisions. So if they send unreliable information, inaccurate information, the decisions will go wrong. If decision will go wrong, you cannot achieve your objectives. So here information means the information which was submitted to heads, submitted to audit committees, submitted to board, and the information which was submitted to regulatory authorities, GST, income tax, Companies Act, right? So whether these information, whether it is reliable or unreliable, and you also need to send relevant information. So if you send irrelevant information, decision making is not possible. Correct? So you are sending me 2 years back's information. It is irrelevant today. You need to send me last 1-2 months sales information. What is the current position of stock, right? To take decisions, you need relevant information and reliable information. Utilization of resources. What comes to your mind? Utilization of resources. So all this is revolving around doing business correctly, doing business legally in order to achieve your goals and objectives. Okay. Utilization of resources. What are the resources a business has? Business has money, business has people, business has inventory, business has machines, right? So software business. Let us talk about software business. What is the biggest asset? Employees. Employees have huge idle time. They are not given proper work. So you are paying salaries without utilizing the resources. So you'll end up in non-achievement of goals and objectives of business, right? So finally, whatever we have discussed, okay, fall under this internal control and systems and procedures, right? So these are the objectives which internal auditor, okay, or the scope of internal audit covers. Anyone has any doubt with regard to any of the scope line item at higher level? So we will quickly, so this is the scope of internal audit, okay. So out of this, now we will refer to SA 610. So SA 610 also gives objectives and scope of internal audit function, which is just now we have discussed. The same thing was again given in a different manner. Monitoring of controls, financial operating information, compliance with laws and regulations, risk management, governance, review of operating activities. So this is also the scope of internal audit as per SA 610. This is your general scope. This is your scope as per 610. So if someone asks general, if the question asks scope, you try to answer the previous one. If question exclusively asks scope as per internal audit function as per SA 610, then you need to mention this. So this is the exercise which I told you. The template which you need to prepare is every business area. So I'm also giving you examples of business areas. It is just illustrative. You have many business areas. If you go detail, there is no IT here. There is no legal here. Okay. You can add multiple business areas. Okay. So if you have already done internal audit in your articleship, that helps you a lot here. Okay. If you are totally devoted for income tax or specific area audit, then this exercise you have to do it. So these are all the business areas. So you write which scope line item. So we have discussed 7 scope line items. So order to cash, what you need to talk about governance, what you need to talk about relevant and reliable information. So for order to cash, you can list down 7 scope line items, and each scope line item you can write what is the risk, and you can write what is the control. Okay, so if you do this, at least try to write 3 to 4 scope line items for every business area, against which you write down risk and control. So you will get complete internal audit grip, why this scope line item is there, how it is relevant to internal audit, how it is relevant to achievement of goals and objectives, how it enhances governance. So the definition, scope, everything you will get more clarity if you do this exercise. Next, steps in performing internal audit engagement. So how do you perform? First is you obtain the knowledge of business and its environment. Then you will do planning. Once you know which organization you are doing, under which laws it worked. Once you know that, you can plan, right? What you will do in planning? You will plan when to go, where to go, how many people are needed, how much time is needed, right? All this you will do in planning. What documents you need to obtain, okay? All these you will do in planning, and you will intimate to respective client. Once you visit there, you will collect all the information, right? That is step 3. Once you receive the information, what you will do? You will do performance. Step 4 is performance. So what you will do in performance? First, you will perform analytical review procedures. Top level, macro level analytical review procedures you will perform. Second, what you will do? You will perform substantial audit procedures, test of details, test of controls. So you perform that. Then what you will do? You may find issues. That issues will be kept at one place. That issues will be recorded at one place, right? Then what you will do? Because this is internal audit, similar to stat audit. Just a second. So what you will do? First is you perform, once you receive the information, you go to step 4. Step 4, what you will do? You will collect, you perform analytical review procedures. Later on, what you will do? Based on that, you will do audit procedures, test of details, test of controls. Once you perform that, you may come up with some audit issues. That issues has to be discussed with respective process owner. Every business process has process owners, right? Sales guys have sales head, purchase head, legal head, IT head, right? You will discuss with the respective business process owner. Once you discuss that, then you will finalize the points, and you will also submit to those charged with governance, who is, in case of internal audit, those charged with governance is audit committee, right? So you need to submit to audit committee. Okay. Finally, for submitting audit committee, you prepare a report and you will submit it. Clear? So we will quickly look ICAI material once. Okay. You are able to see PDF? Can you confirm?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So here it says performing internal audit function. How do you perform? So 5 steps, easy to remember. It's a process driven. First, you obtain the information, you do planning, you obtain information again. This is field work. This is step 3 is field work. Step 4 is come to step 3. You already did field work. In field work, you collect information and you do audit checks, and finally you give a report. So what kind of business information? So every step has detailed breakup. So what kind of business and its environment knowledge you need? You need their regulatory landscape. Are you doing a cement industry? Are you doing an IT industry? Are you doing a tea business? Which client you are performing internal audit? Are you doing a mining industry? Are you doing a bank? Are you doing an NBFC? Okay. So what laws applicable? Which regulatory landscape it is there? Are you doing a real estate company? Okay. Then what are they using? Which information technology? Are you using SAP, Tally, Oracle? Okay, Focus. There are multiple accounting softwares. Which ERP they are using? Right? And every business, because if it has multiple branches, probably they have their own standard operating procedures, policies. You obtain that for your planning purpose also. Okay. And very important point is you conduct meetings with those charged with governance and higher management to obtain their understanding and their expectations, right? What they expect from internal audit, which focus area they want to do. Okay. It's like you also take inputs from those charged with governance. So those charged with governance, like audit committee, they may say that, see, we have control over all business areas, but purchases is little, we have little doubt. So you concentrate on purchases. So internal auditor scope will be discussed, will be deliberated with key stakeholders, board of directors, especially audit committee, right? So you don't discuss with CFO, you don't discuss with some sales head, but because if you discuss, probably you may get biased or you may get influenced. So you need to discuss with those charged with governance. In case of internal audit, it is audit committee. So this is the first stage where you obtain the information. What kind of information? Regulatory information, information technology, which ERP they are using, business documents and meetings. You'll perform auditing, perform audit planning. So as I told you, standards for internal audit, there is SIA 310. I can assure you that most of the standards for internal audit, you have, it's a shadow or it's a replica of standards on auditing. So whenever you see standard on internal audit, you can also think of standards on auditing, and the content of that standard is also very similar to standards on auditing. So even in the syllabus, they have not discussed much about standards on auditing. They just gave the number as well as the description of that. They have not discussed in details. Okay. So you can be rest assured with respect to standards. So you perform audit planning, right? Once you perform, you'll inform to respective people. Then you gather information. Then you perform audit checks. This is very important. This is very important. So first, what you will do? You will apply analytical procedures. Second, what you will do? Yeah, you will do sampling. Whenever it is needed. Whenever it is needed, you do sampling. Then what you will do? You will verify the audit evidence. So you perform testing, audit testing, right? Then what you will do? You may end up getting some audit issues or control gaps. You may say 10 out of 20 vouchers were not signed. Not signed means not verified. Not verified means control lapse, right? Control gaps. Okay, so every business area, as I told you, if you do that exercise, you can also fill these audit issues. Okay. Then you have, finally, you need to perform all your work papers, assemble it, okay, as per audit documentation. So this is what you do in stage 4. Last stage is your reporting. So you will give a report, and whenever, let us assume you have findings. Okay. So now I'll tell you there are 2 types of findings. One, findings need immediate attention. One findings may not need immediate attention. Let us say you got a serious control gap, suspected fraud or actual fraud, right? So you got an actual fraud, you got a suspected fraud, or you got a serious control issues. Then you feel like these are the issues which may not, which may have to be escalated, have to be communicated to those charged with governance, like audit committee, on immediate basis. So you don't wait to prepare your internal audit report. You don't wait. Serious issues, serious audit issues, serious control gaps have to be informed to audit committee on priority, on immediate basis. So you don't wait, you don't follow the procedure, you don't follow the steps, you do bypass. You quickly go and intimate them. You will eventually report it. It will form part of report, but those need immediate attention. So you will immediately go and update audit committee. Clear? So this is your steps in performing internal audit engagement. Next, approach to prepare the internal audit plan. Okay, we'll see this. So what we have discussed is, you see here, they have not discussed much about planning here. Okay. Planning part, they have given elsewhere. Okay, I'll show you that. So now out of 5 stages, we had detailed discussion about audit checks, right? Now we will have detailed discussion about audit plan. How do you prepare an audit plan, in detail audit plan? So first you go and discuss, right? You go and discuss with audit committee and you develop a plan. Okay. So you tell me whether the plan should consist of all business areas or few business areas. It has to be all business areas, correct? So how do you prepare? The internal auditor, he has to discuss with audit committee, right? So while preparing a plan, he try to cover all business process, covering both financial as well as operational activities, correct? Right? Next. So to take appropriate consideration, okay, the internal auditor has to consider all these areas. So let us talk about ABC Limited. ABC Limited, you want to prepare a plan. Now first what you will do? You will go to audit committee. You will understand the expectation. Okay. Then you understand what business they are doing. Before finalizing the plan, you need to consider, before finalizing the plan, you need to consider the respective items. Risk underlying the business process. Every business may not have same risk to their respective business process. Okay. So let us take an example of IT companies. IT company. Their HR and payroll is a high risk. Which business area is high risk? Which business area is low risk? Which business area needs more attention? Which business area needs less attention? Which business area has to be done once in a quarter? Which business area has to be done once in a year? Okay. So the first point is talk about risk underlying the business process. So while preparing a plan, I should know the business process. I should know a risk associated with the business process. If a business process which is high risk, I should definitely consider, I should keep it as a top priority, and I should periodically visit that business process again and again. If a business process is low risk, probably I can cover once in a year. Next, value that the internal audit can provide to the organization. So which business area, if I verify, I'll give them maximum value. Okay. So which same once you have high risk area, high risk business process, then your attention is needed there. If you go and verify, you can give more value. You can set right the process, right? So where is your value needed? So you need to analyze that also. So actually both are interrelated. Where there is a more risk, there you can give more value, right? When there is more risk, you can give more value also, because you need to check controls in that area. High risk leads to high financial loss, regulatory loss, etc. Efforts involved in conducting internal audit for particular business process. Very common, very easy. So you should know which area will take how much time, how many man days. Okay. So you should consider that, without which you cannot prepare a plan. Risk appetite of the organization. Again. So organization, audit committee, while you are discussing with the audit committee says, I am okay with this business process, but I am worried with this business process. My recruitment process is not fine. My procurement process is not fine. So what is the concern? Okay. So that you need to understand from the organization. And coverage of all auditable areas within the defined time range. So within a year span of time, you cover all the business areas. But how much periodicity, what repetition you should do, only by knowing this, you can do it. Anyone got any doubt here? How to prepare audit plan? Can someone repeat what I just said? Yeah. So planning is very important. And while planning, you need to consider all these elements. If you don't consider all these elements, your plan is not appropriate. Your plan is not efficient. Okay. Let us see one question. So what does question says? Question says, what approach would Mr. Gopal follow to prepare the internal audit plan for next year? So just now we discussed what are all the things you should follow. First, you should do meeting. First, you should do meeting. Second, okay, what you should do, that's covering both financial aspect, covering all business areas, right? And all these aspects also to be covered. Next, another question. So what is the question? Zero Limited has appointed Mr. Shubh to conduct their internal audit for new financial year. The audit committee requested Shubh to perform a detailed analysis of their expenses in the previous year and report on all risks and underlying gaps. Elucidate the steps internal auditor take to identify such gaps. What is he asking? What is the question? Anyone can guess which stage he is talking about? Which stage he is telling us to elaborate? 5 stages we have seen. First, we understand the environment.
Audit checks.
Correct. Good. So out of 5 stages, previous question we saw planning stage. This question we are seeing audit checks. So you know the story. First you perform analytical procedures. If needed, you do sampling. Then you collect evidence. you verify the evidence. If you find any issues, you'll report it. And finally, you also perform documentation. Your filing also should be done. Okay. Next, applicability. Very easy, right? Everyone already knows. Okay. So now, whom it is applicable? Internal audit is mandatorily applicable to a listed company. If it is an unlisted company, so we need to check outstanding deposits. We need to check paid up share capital. We need to check outstanding loans or borrowings. And we need to check turnover. Only if it is an unlisted public company. If it is private company, there is no question of deposits. There is no question of paid up capital. You only check loans and borrowings. You only check turnover. So how do you remember? 25, 50, 100, 200. Okay. You can prepare a small box. Okay. So first is, if it is a listed entity, if deposits is 1 crore, it is applicable. If turnover is 2 crores, it is applicable because it is a listed entity. If it is an unlisted public company, then you need to check deposits 25 crore or more. Please give enough attention. If it is 24 crore 99 lakhs, not applicable. 25 crores, yes, it is applicable. 26 crores, yes, it is applicable. 30 lakhs, no, it is not applicable. Okay. Sometimes they may say 30 lakhs. Okay. So you feel like 25. You remember 25, but you don't remember crores, right? So 25 crores or more at any point in time. This is very important to understand. At any point of time during the preceding financial year. So it means, let us take an example. What it means? Can anyone guess what it means?
Sir, say example, if that outstanding deposit during the month of April 30th itself is a example, if 25 crore or more, and it's zero deposit at the end of the year, 31st March, then also it is applicable.
Good. Same case with regard to paid up share capital. Okay. Let us say during the financial year, you have 60 crores paid up capital. Let us say in September, December you did buyback. Okay. So your paid up share capital, okay, got reduced. So what you will do? You apply this during the year. All the conditions are during the year. Please understand, at any point in time. Okay. At any point in time and during the year. Okay. Suppose in February, you went up to 210 crores. In March, you got huge sales returns. Okay. Then applicable, not applicable? This condition.
Applicable, sir.
Yeah, correct. Okay. So similarly, private limited company, these two conditions, deposits and paid up share capital is not applicable. Loans and borrowings as well as turnover is applicable. So you prepare a small table, okay, in your notes, which makes easy for you to revise. So any doubt in applicability? Yeah, we'll proceed. So questions, let me get the answers. So read the question and give me answer. So what's the answer? How much is paid up capital? First see whether it is a
49.
public listed, whether it is public or private.
It is a private limited.
Private limited. What is the condition for private limited?
Only two conditions. If the paid,
So should we check paid up capital? Should we check paid up capital?
no, sir, it's not. Need not check paid up capital and outstanding deposit is not applicable.
Correct. So should we check reserves? This information is needed?
No, not needed.
Not needed. So what is the turnover? 49, 145, 260. Okay. So consecutive financial year immediately preceding the financial year is what they are telling. So if you take current year as year 0, okay, this is year 1. I'm going backwards. Or current year as year 4, okay, this is year 3, this is year 2, okay, this is year 1. I'll clarify this. If this is if this is 2024, okay, what you are doing internal audit, so 260 crores is for 2023, 145 crores is 2022, 49 crores is 2021. Okay, so preceding financial years is more than 260 crores, hence it is applicable. Okay. Next question. Yes, no?
Yes, sir, it is applicable, sir. Outstanding loans and borrowings of the banks exceeding 100 crores.
Correct. Applicable. Valid. Next. Quick.
Sir, first case is a limited company. It is applicable irrespective of any, need not check anything.
Good. Next.
Next, unlimited public limited a company that the equity share capital is more than 50 crores, 50 or 50 crores, that is applicable. Turnover, okay. Then loan from, okay. Because of this first category, equity share capital is more than 50 crores, 50 and 50 crores, it is applicable.
Which one?
That unlisted public company.
Yeah, 1 second. I'll make a note. So because it is listed, this is applicable, right?
It is applicable irrespective of any other criteria.
Yeah, this information is not that relevant. Just by seeing listed, it is applicable. Now we are talking about unlisted public company. Okay.
For unlisted company, there is a 4 conditions. Anyone, if it is met, it is a paid up share capital, 50 crore or more at any that one, and turnover is 200 crore or more. Our loan from public financial institution is 100 crore or more. Public support sheet 25 crore or more. Last 3 condition is not there, even though there is not there, since the equity share capital is exceeding 50 crore, it is applicable.
Good. What about this?
For this is a private limited company, that equity share capital is not relevant and public deposit is not relevant. Only the turnover and the loan. Turnover is less than, it's not at all applicable. The reason is less than 200 crore turnover. Loan is less than 100 crore.
So applicable, not applicable?
Not applicable.
Not applicable. Correct. Clear? So you may not get deviated by seeing equity share capital more than 70 crores. Okay. This is also very important. If here they mentioned lakhs, none of them is applicable. So please do concentrate here as well. Okay. So we are done with internal audit point of view. Okay. Out of 4 sections which I divided, we are now moving to second section, which is internal auditor. So 4 sections you remember: internal audit, internal auditor, internal audit report, and audit trail and standards on internal audit. Okay. So we are done with internal audit. So internal auditor, who can be an internal auditor? What are the principles he should follow? What are the qualities he should carry? What are the responsibilities he has? How internal auditor supports external auditor? what are the differences between internal auditor and external auditor? So who can be internal auditor? Either be a chartered accountant or a cost accountant or any other professional decided by the board to conduct an internal audit functions and activities. Okay. He may be an employee, he may not be an employee. Possible, he may be an employee or he may not be an employee. To be effective, an internal auditor must be regarded as part of management, not merely as an assistant thereto. Okay. So you cannot make him like a subordinate. Okay. You should give him independence. If an independent party, fine. If it is not an employee, generally they will be independent, right? Unless there is some related party connection. If it is an employee, then that employee has to be given, okay, independence. Okay, he or she must have the authority to investigate every organizational activity to meet the objectives. So you cannot make an operational employee as internal auditor. You need to make some senior person, okay, who got authority to ask questions. Okay, such authoritative person only can become an internal auditor, not just some small employee, okay, or middle management, operational management employee you pick up and you say you go and do internal audit. He may be capable of doing internal audit. However, while coming to reporting perspective, he may not have authority, right? So you should see the employee who has authority to ask questions, go to any plant, business area, ask questions, right? Only then you can say he can become an internal auditor. Clear? Next, principles. We know, okay, similar to statutory auditor, internal auditor also has certain basic principles. There you discussed SA 200, here you are discussing here integrity, objectivity and independence. So what is integrity? What is objectivity? What is independence? So someone has to be honest, right? And objectivity, he is unbiased. Independence, you don't have any self-review threats, self-interest threats. Okay, so let us see one by one. So he has to be fair in his dealings. He has to be honest, truthful, and be a person of high integrity. All conflicts of interest he should avoid. He should not work for his personal benefit or advantage from his position. So because you went to perform internal audit of procurement, you got some suspected fraud or you got some actual fraud. You understand that procurement guy is colluded with supplier. Okay. And he is getting some commission. Now, it is your responsibility to report. But what you have done, you also share that commission. So, if such a guy with no integrity, he is not following the principle of internal auditor. So, for a person to become an internal auditor, he should follow certain principles. Those three principles are integrity, objectivity, and independence. So, he should not gain any personal benefit because of his position. Okay. Objectivity, highly objective, no subjective, unbiased, no bias, there is no bias. Okay. So unbiased nature, he should correct the evidences and verify, and he should give an unbiased opinion. Next, independence. Independence shall not be only in mind but also in appearance. What do you mean by this? Anyone? You heard this anytime?
He should appear independent to third parties.
Yes, we should appear independent and we should also be independent. Okay. So let us say a person with high integrity, high objectivity, okay, he has it. His son is working in the organization. Can he become an internal auditor? He is there to do internal audit of procurement to pay. And his son is working in procurement department or he is procurement head. Okay. Can he become internal auditor?
He can, but he will not be independent.
That's what. So now question is, even though he is his son, okay, he will do his duty with high integrity and high objectivity. Okay. He is loyal to audit company knows him from years. He is high integrity person, high objective person. Okay. So he knows in mind he is integrity. Means in substance he has independence. If even his son does a mistake, he will report it. That kind of guy he is. So in substance he is independence. But for the people who look him, it looks like he is not independent. So even though in substance you are independent, you cannot create or you cannot show your stakeholders, audit committee or some other person that you are related, that your independence is compromised. Your independence is not compromised. However, even in appearance, you should not look independent. You should not look dependent. That your independence is compromised. Okay. So appearance as well as in mind, both has to be there. So even in substance, even in appearance, both has to be satisfied. Clear? Next. Let us see this question. Read this question. So what's the answer?
He should be heading the internal audit department, and he should have assistants, people to assist him, and he should be reporting to top management of the company, that those charged with governance.
Correct. Yeah. So he should be free from undue influences, right? Undue pressure or interference. Okay. Someone cannot dominate him, right? So HR is evaluating multiple options. What are those options? Can he be reporting to board of directors, audit committee, managing director, CEO, CFO? But as per the above stated provision, which is your undue influence, okay, the CIA, Chief Internal Auditor, needs to be independent of operational activities and report to audit committee or board of directors to enjoy his true status of independent director. If he reports to managing director, if he reports to CEO, if he reports to CFO, the problem is you may not report an issue on them. Okay. You may not get the true status of independence, right? They will dominate you. They will tell you, don't report this. Okay. So that is the reason to get a true status, you should report to audit committee or board of directors, not to even managing director or CEO or CFO, because they are the one who is running the business. Correct? Yeah. Next. Qualities of internal auditor. We saw principles of internal auditor. Okay. Here, qualities of internal auditor. Okay. So what are the qualities of internal auditor? So the data which he collected about the company has to be kept confidential, right? And he should have that nature of confidentiality. What all knowledge he should have? He should have accounting and finance knowledge. Let us say you are doing audit of India's company. So you should have India's knowledge. Okay. So you should doing company which has IGAP, AS. So you should have AS knowledge. You know, so accounting and finance knowledge is needed. Operational knowledge. So let us say you should know how a sale transaction looks like. What are the risks associated with sales? What are the controls associated with sales? Purchases, recruitment, right? So you should have operational knowledge. And you should have knowledge in control system. Let us say IT control system. Okay, IT control system. If I enter this transaction, where it will reflect? Okay. Can I have control in ERP? Okay. To prepare a transaction and to approve a transaction, maker checker can be done through IT? Yes, you can do. So you should have IT knowledge. Electronic data processing. You should have knowledge in electronic data processing. You should have some technical skills. You should have management and communication skills. Why you should know this? You collect evidence through inquiry, right? You ask same question to different people in different different questions to same people, right? To get information, you need management and communication skills also. So you need accounting and financial knowledge. You need operational knowledge, how a sale transaction will be done, how a purchase transaction will be done, how an employee get recruited, how business is done. So that knowledge is also needed. ERP knowledge, system knowledge is also needed. Clear? So these are the qualities internal auditor has to carry. So let us see in detail. Yeah. You can able to see my PDF screen?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So to perform his duties effectively, he is required to possess good knowledge of the subject matter, underlying information system, and good soft skills. So he should have special expertise necessary for evaluating management control system, especially financial and accounting controls. So credit control, financial control is example credit control. If I want to make a payment, someone has to approve. Without that approval, payment should not release. That's a financial control. If I want to make a sale, that party should have an outstanding less than his credit limit. Let us say the credit limit is 10 lakhs. Can you make a sale of 15 lakhs? No, you cannot make. So credit control is a financial control. Accounting controls. You prepare bank reconciliation statement. It's an accounting control. Okay. So you have financial controls, you have accounting controls. Then you also need to have accounting and finance functions. Okay. Auditor has accounting and financial expertise, which is your Ind-AS knowledge, which is your AS knowledge. Yeah, same thing. Repeating again. Both financial and operational controls. New thing is here, operational controls. We saw accounting control, we saw financial control. Here we are talking about operational controls. Physical verification of inventory is an operational control, right? So you perform regular physical verification of inventory in order to see which material is available, which material is not available, which material has to be ordered, right? So physical verification of inventory is an operational controls. Okay. So all this is again goes back to the definition, goes back to the homework which I have given. Okay. Take each business area, write down what are the risks, what are the controls. Then you will understand, okay, this is operational control, this is financial control, this is accounting control. Okay. You should also have knowledge about electronic data processing. You should have knowledge about commerce, laws, taxation, cost accounting, economics, quantitative methods. Okay. In short, most of this is already covered in the syllabus. So you being a CA, after being a CA, if you want to do an internal audit, okay, you should possess all this expertise, all this good knowledge you should have, right? So an understanding of accounting software, how Tally works, how SAP works, how Oracle works, you should have knowledge. Understanding of management principles, right? And techniques they use is another essential qualification of internal audit, also to deal with people. So he's telling about soft skills, communication skills, how to get the information. You may not be given direct information. Through indirectly, you need to ask questions with which you will get to know. Because, see, let us say there is a fraud happened. There is a purchase guy who did the fraud. How do you know? He will never admit that he has done the fraud, right? So you should know soft skills. You should discuss few questions which give you indicator, right? And you need to identify and go back to documents and verify for finding a fraud. Okay. So soft skills are also needed. Clear? And finally, confidentiality of such information has to be maintained. Clear? These are the qualities of internal auditor. Next. Responsibilities of an internal auditor with respect to accounting function and financial records. So what we have discussed till now, internal auditor, we saw who can be internal auditor, right? We saw principles that internal auditor has to follow. Then we saw qualities of internal auditor. Now we are seeing responsibilities of internal auditor, not of everything. We are narrowing down the scope. Responsibility of internal auditor with respect to accounting function and financial records of the organization. So first, 3 points talks about independence. Carefully look at this. First 3 points are talking about independence. So if you are reviewing accounting function, you are not reviewing sales function, purchase function, HR function, okay, IT function, legal function. There are multiple departments, multiple functions in the business organization. We are going to do internal audit of accounting function. So when I'm doing accounting function, I should be independent of accounting staff, right? And I should not involvement in performance of executive function. I prepare something and I am coming as an internal auditor. We call that threat as self-review threat. Okay, self-review threat. Understood? Self-review threat means, let us say, you as an employee, you prepared some documentation. Now you are coming as an internal auditor and verifying that. So that is self-review threat. I'll give you one more example. You are an external party, you are a CA. Management, they want to account for certain expenditure. So they called you because you are their CA, they called you and they asked, sir, this is the nature of expenditure. How do we classify? You told better you classify as capital expenditure. Now they have classified as capital expenditure. You come as an internal auditor and you review it. Now you are not in a position to report that because You are the one who give decision. You are the one who gave suggestion to account it as capital expenditure, right? So this is also a issue or a threat for independence, which is self-review threat. Do you remember any other threats?
Yes, sir. There are totally 5 threads, sir.
Good.
Self-review thread, and advocacy thread, and indemnity thread, and self-interest thread.
Good. So these things, okay, self-interest, self-review, okay, intimidation, advocacy, okay, self-review, all these things are threats to independence. Okay, one has to avoid them at any cost. At all times, internaut must enjoy an independent status. So if someone asks you, or if question comes on responsibilities, first you think about is independence. Once you think about independence, 3 points should come to your mind. Clear? We'll see other responsibilities also. So what you should have? You should associate closely with the management. Okay. So now you understand this. I am independent, but I am associating closely with the management. Why I am associated closely with the management? Not because I have vested interest with management. I need to know about the details. What has happened? Whether they have changed their system from SAP to ERP, SAP to Tally or Tally to SAP. Whether previously they used to do credit sales and cash sales. Now they stopped credit sales. They are doing only cash sales. Reverse. Previously they used to do cash sales. Now they are entering into credit sales. So they are entering into a new risk zone. Correct? They are opening a new plant. They are opening a new factory. Okay. So what is happening within the organization, you should get that information on timely basis. Accordingly, you'll change your plan. Accordingly, you'll execute your internal audit. That is the reason you associate with them closely. Although you write closely with the management association, but you have to maintain your independent status at all times. Next, let us say you review this, okay, and you got some issues. Attention to deficiencies wherever there is required to be corrected. So what is this? Adequacy of system of internal control by continuous examination. Internal audit is not one-time job. Controls has to be verified on periodic basis. Some control working in April doesn't give assurance that it works in September. So internal audit has to be conducted on periodic basis. Effectiveness of control has to be verified on periodic basis. You bought CCTV footages. You installed it. It is working properly for 6 months. Next quarter, Q1 you verified CCTVs are working fine. Q2 you verified CCTVs are working fine. Q3 you came, you thought, why should I verify CCTV footages? It's already working fine. But somehow Q3 it is not working. And employees took an advantage of that and they siphoned off some cash. They siphoned off some inventory. Okay. They did cash embezzlement. They did pilferage, theft. Because of you assuming that control is working fine in Q1, control is working fine in Q2, you have not considered checking that in Q3. But Q3, the fraudsters or the employees of who want to do misappropriation of assets, they took an advantage of that and they did the misuse of their position and they took that cash or they took that inventory. Okay. So it's a continuous examination of accounting procedures. So the control which I told is operational control. Okay. Let us say BRS. First month you did BRS, there are no differences. Second month you did BRS, you know difference. Third month you stop doing it? No. Every month you have to do it. It's a accounting control, detective control. There is preventive control, there is detective control, right? So you need to understand different types of controls. You need to understand, okay, internal control verification is a continuous examination. Okay. So the responsibility of internal auditor is same thing you should do again and again, even though the test result is positive. Hope it is clear. First quarter test result is positive. Second quarter test result is positive. Third quarter, it may happen the test result become negative. Okay. I can go up to years. First year, second year, third year, it may be negative. So you cannot, it is your responsibility that you need to do continuous examination. Okay. So finally, again, any deficiency, anything, you need to bring them to the notice of authorities, TCWG communication. Board of directors, they are not actively involved in day-to-day operations. They doesn't know what is happening on ground. So you got to know certain serious control deficiencies. It is internal auditor's responsibility to inform those charged with governance, inform audit committee, inform board about serious internal control issues. Clear? It is responsibility of an internal auditor. So total 6 responsibilities. 3 are related to independence. Okay, that you should not get involved. You should not perform the functions, and you need to maintain the status of independence. Rest 3 points. One is you always in touch with business, in touch with organization, that what is happening, what is changing, etc. 5th is you cannot take things for granted. You have to perform continuous examination of all the controls to check effectiveness. Controls which are effective in previous month may not be effective in current month. Okay. Next, last is whichever serious issues you have or all the issues you got has to be reported to TCWG or all the reported to authorities. Okay, clear? This is the responsibility of internal auditor. So, internal auditor principles. What are the principles? Integrity, objectivity, independence. Independence not only in mind but also in appearance. Okay. Responsibilities, qualities. Okay. Next. Let us answer this question. So it says responsibility of Rishi as an internal auditor, accounting function and financial records. This is important. Okay. So the previous 6 points which we have discussed is the answer. Next. We came to a section where how internal auditor supports external auditor. These next 1-2 questions are how internal auditor supports external auditor or the relation between internal auditor and external auditor. Last question is differences between internal auditor and external auditor. Okay. So let us see how internal auditor engages with external auditor. So now an external auditor, he wants to evaluate internal auditor. So how do he evaluate? Okay. First, you should check his organization status. What you see? You see his organization status. What does it mean? Whether he is an outside party, whether he is an inside employee. If he is an outside party, okay, to whom he is reporting to. Correct? So you should check organization status. Whether he is an LLP or a firm or a company, there are internal auditors who are companies. Okay. There are internal auditors who are firms. There are internal auditors who are proprietors. There are internal auditors who are employees. Okay. So who are they? To whom we are reporting? Okay. Any scope is restricted. Next. Scope. whether internal auditor has been given scope of all areas or specific areas. Can management restrict internal auditor scope? Possible? Anyone? I am appointing internal auditor for only verifying procurement. Don't look at sales, don't look at HR, don't look at IT, don't look at legal. Look at only procurement. Few companies, they may appoint internal auditor for specific area. So now, external auditor cannot rely on that internal auditor because his scope is only limited. Who is doing internal audit? Is it a CA? Is it a CWA? Is it an employee? What is his qualification? Okay. So first is organizational status. Second is scope of function. Third is technical competence. Last, how seriously he is doing it. What kind of planning he has done. How many times he is reviewing. What kind of issues he is bringing up. What kind of documentation he has done. So external auditor has to go through all these 4 status in order to think about whether I should place reliance on internal audit work or whether I should not place reliance on internal audit work. Whether I can use internal audit work, whether I should not use internal audit work. So simply, external auditor is evaluating internal auditor by seeing these 4 checks. Okay. If he is an individual, if he is an employee who is reporting to CFO, okay, then CFO got all the dominance to not to report certain issues. So then such kind of internal audit may be useful for the organization, okay, but it may not be useful for the external auditor. For performing statutory auditor, external auditor, that internal auditor is not useful. Scope is limited. Scope is not covering all areas. Okay. Then external auditor has to take a call that only for procurement to pay, only for vendor payments, only for that nature I can take support of internal auditor, but other areas I need to work myself. Technical competence, he does not have any competence. Okay. Then you should not rely. Due professional care, there is no documentation maintained. He's just coming, checking 4-5 vouchers and going. Okay. So then external auditor understand, okay, this internal audit function I cannot rely on. So this is from the lens of external auditor. From the lens of external auditor, how far I can rely on internal auditor, how far I cannot rely on internal auditor. Because the important point is external auditor is solely responsible for the opinion he has given. Is it clear? You heard this first time, you heard it multiple times.
Sir, I heard it earlier as well. SA 610 is talk about use of external internal auditor.
What it says?
Whenever the external auditor is using the internal auditor, he should check the independence and the integrities and the knowledge about that. If he is an auditor, then there is no need to check the independence. He is already a qualified chartered accountant. Since there is a chance for internal auditor and external internal auditor, it can be the organization or employee or somebody else also can be appointed as an internal auditor, so that the external auditor has to check his competence and knowledge and independence once again, and how the internal audit design and policies program is independently designed or not, whether the management is involved, any scope is due, limitation, knowledge, and whether if there is any significant matter and complex situation. In those areas, the external auditor should not use the internal auditor, since its involvement is more like that.
Yeah.
We studied.
Yeah, good. So
And moreover, when particularly when we are using the internal auditor, we should get the written permission from the internal auditor as well as the management. That is more important.
Perfect. Good. So external auditor has to evaluate internal auditor in all these aspects. Okay. Next, we'll see what extent. So I think you also covered this part. Okay. If I want to, let us say I evaluated all these things. Okay. I evaluated the organization is audit firm. The scope is all areas. They are firm of CAs who is doing internal audit. And fourth, the way they are doing the work with proper technical care they are taking, documentation is done, team is coming, okay, multiple discussions are happening, proper scope, all the communication is happening, everything is fine. So after understanding, yes, now I can place reliance on this internal auditor. What I can give, what I cannot give. Okay. Which areas, which aspects of external audit can be handed over to internal auditor, which aspects cannot be handed over to internal auditor. That is very important. So you verified, now you can rely on internal auditor. Okay. So once you've done that testing, once you come to that flow chart, okay, now you need to check which I can give, which I cannot give. What extent I can rely on, what extent I can go with internal auditor, what I cannot give. Okay. So this is what it is. So it says, example, I'll tell you. So the external auditor, he shall consider, okay, this is, he has to do. Please understand, external auditor has to do this. He has to do the planning and performing relevant audit procedures. So who should decide audit procedures? Without any doubt, it is external auditor. Okay. Who can do planning? External auditor. Who can do performance? External auditor. Okay. So for this area, I need to decide substantial audit procedures. For this area, I'll first do analytical procedures. For this area, I'll need to do test of details. That decision making stays with external auditor. Evaluation of the audit evidence gathered. Sir, can I use internal auditor for gathering audit evidence? The answer is yes. But can I give freedom to evaluate the audit evidence? The answer is no. You can ask him to compile. You can ask him to prepare summaries. You can ask him to, let us say there is confirmation, there are confirmations. You can ask him to collect all the confirmations, prepare a table, what is matching, what is not matching. You prepare a table and give it to me. Whether what has been done, okay, whether the audit evidence is sufficient, appropriate, conclusions should be derived from the audit evidence. It is part of external auditor. Hope I am clear. See, gathering audit evidence can be done by internal auditor, but evaluation of audit evidence. What is evaluation of audit evidence? Whether the audit evidence collected is sufficient, whether it is appropriate, can I draw some conclusion on the evidence? All this is responsibilities of external auditor. Support function, I can use internal auditor. Okay. Internal auditor is not in a position to tell, see, this is sufficient, this is appropriate, this is conclusion. No, he cannot tell. Okay. Next, assess risk of material misstatement. Can internal auditor say this is high risk, this is low risk? No, external auditor has to say. Evaluation of existence and significance of threats. That is also has to be done. All evaluations has to be done by external auditors. Any significant judgments, higher assess risk of material misstatement. You feel procurement area, you feel debtors confirmation, you feel vendors payable is high assess risk. Then that is external auditor job. He shall not use internal auditor to provide direct assistance to perform the following procedures. So these are the following procedures where external auditors shall not use internal auditors. Okay. So you want to discuss some matters with TCWG, emphasis of matter, key audit matter, fraud. You want to delegate it to internal auditor? No. Okay. High risk areas, you cannot. Significant judgments, you cannot. Right? So you can use him for some evidence gathering, supporting. Okay. You may say, you may check his work papers, right? But finally, it is statutory auditor's responsibility, external auditor's responsibility for the opinion which he is giving. Okay, next. So let us see this question. State the factors that weigh considerations in opting to make use of direct assistance of internal auditors for the purpose of statutory audit. So the thing which we have seen, we can write it as an answer. Okay, next. So read this.
Evaluation will be done, have to be done by the external auditor only.
Correct. Good. Nice. That is answer A. Answer B.
Answer B also, when it's talk about the external confirmation, SCA 505, the request and the evaluation of the result of external confirmation, he may not involve on the evaluation part of it. However, he can say after evaluation, if the list of customer and the suppliers given for that, he can send the mail and get the direct confirmation. For that purpose, he can be used.
Good.
But however, there should be a written confirmation from the internal auditor as well as the management to use of the direct assistance from the internal auditors.
Yeah, nice. So A cannot ask for direct assistance from internal audit regarding evaluating significant estimates. It would not be appropriate to assign these responsibilities. Which responsibilities? Evaluating the results of external confirmation. This responsibility cannot be assigned. Sorry. However, he may assist in assembling information necessary for external auditor to resolve exceptions in confirmation responses. So now, external auditor using internal auditor for providing direct assistance, right? So now the external auditor, what he should include, okay, in the audit documentation. Like we just discussed that we need to obtain written confirmation, written agreements with management as well as with internal auditor. That has to be there. Apart from that, there are a few other points which we'll cover. So first is you check whether this threat to internal objectivity of internal auditor. So first you check whether he is following the principle or not. Whether he is objective or not, you check. How do you check objective? So you check whether he is related party, whether he has dominance, whether he has he is not independent, right? So he is not following that principle. So you cannot use him. However, you are using him, right? Here you are telling direct assistance. Okay. So as part of audit documentation, you should prepare a documentation in such a way that you have evaluated his independence. So after evaluation of his independence, then I gave him the job. That has to be documented. So the first point is, before entering into an agreement with management or with internal auditor, first external auditor has to evaluate whether I can give that job to him or not. You already gave that job, but first evaluation has to be done whether he is right person or not the right person. Okay. So that evaluation documentation has to be maintained. Okay. If this evaluation turns out to be negative, then there is no question of taking his assistance. Clear? Next. So what is the nature and extent of work performed by internal auditors? The basis also you will make a documentation. Then who is reviewing that work performed by that staff? Okay. So let us say there is an article who is doing that job. Okay. Post that whether he is going to engagement partner of internal audit department. Okay. He is getting reviewed or not. Whether he is a technical guy or not, competent guy or not, you will check that. This is where you are talking about written agreements. Once it is done, then you go for written agreements with authorized representative, okay, like management and as well as internal auditors. And lastly, all these working papers prepared by the internal auditors also has to be documented. Clear? So these are all the things you should document in case you are taking assistance from internal auditors. Read this question. So the question here is, indicate the activities to be performed by the statutory auditor prior to using internal auditor for providing direct assistance. So the previous slide was the answer. Okay. So next. Difference between internal and external auditor, very simple, easy question. Okay. So who can do external audit, who can do internal audit, right? What is the outcome of internal audit? What is the outcome of external audit, right? Okay. Next. So you have certain categories to remember this answer. First, it is performed by independent internal auditing function within the organization or external body. So is there an option of employee doing statutory audit? There is no question, right? So it has to be performed by independent body which is not part of the organization. Correct? What is examination? The examination here is effectiveness, adequacy and effectiveness of operational controls. You can add that, adequacy and effectiveness of operational controls. Here you see accuracy and validity of financial statements. Here internal audit is appointed by audit committee or board. Here it is appointed by members, shareholders, right? So internal audit is a part of function of management, but stat audit is not function of management. Who are the end users? What is the reporting and what is the status? Okay. So these are the differences between internal and external auditors. So two sections, which is internal audit and internal auditor, are done. We are into third section, internal audit report. So we'll discuss this part in next class. Okay. Along with this, as ma'am was also telling, that we will cover ESG. Okay. Any doubts till here? Anyone wants to summarize? Yeah. Samyanathan, do you want to just give us 2 minute summary? Fine. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, Samyanathan. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, sir. We discussed of the public sector undertaking audit and what is the proprietary CNDAG roles and is point and what is PAG, what is its role and the
Yeah, that
posting
is
this
yesterday's syllabus. Yesterday's syllabus
yesterday
I have
syllabus.
revised.
Yeah, revised and also in continuation that compliance audit and performance audit and continuation that revised. And the next one is that internal audit. And when it talks about internal audit, this applicability is very important to be seen. The applicability is limited company, a listed company is compulsory, mandatory,
Yeah.
and for the public companies,
Yeah, the limits we have discussed.
limit
Yeah.
we discussed.
More to it. Yeah. Next.
Yeah, and subsequently, what is the internal audit function? How it is used? What is its independence? And what is the ethical requirement? And who can be the internal auditors?
Yeah.
And its function and where it will be focused,
Yes.
and also all these things we discussed in details.
Okay, Samyanathan. So don't forget to do today's homework. Okay. So which will be helpful for you to remember everything. Okay. That chart, if you prepare, you understand internal audit in essence, right? Over to ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
I think you have covered everything. And dear students, if you have any doubt, you may definitely reach to us. And as I already told you in the beginning also, your feedback is very important and crucial. So please do share your feedback so that we can further improve in the classes, right? What is your requirement? What additional features you feel that should be embedded in the classes? Okay. And next session is on ESG. I already mentioned in the beginning. So with this, thank you to each of the student. Thank you to Venugopalji. Thank you to technical support and BST. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
Thank you
ma'am.
very
Thank you,
much.
sir.
Yes.